Welcome back to She Talks Law, a podcast by women for women, where we explore the intersection of law, leadership, and life through the lens of women in business. I'm your host, Jen Aronson, partner at Hodgson Russ. Each episode, we bring you conversations with attorneys, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators driving change across today's entrepreneurial world. On today's episode, we're going to dive into what it means to pivot your path to entrepreneurship and tips and tricks of entering a male-dominated space. To help us with this, we're going to hear from our guest, the wonderful Serena Morales. Serena is currently leading the charge as Senior Director of Brand Relations at We The Hobby, the most trusted and respected brand today in the sports collectibles and trading card industry. And I can say that because I've got a 5 and 8-year-old who have attested to the fact that they are truly the most trusted and respected brand today in the sports card and trading industry. Serena is constantly blending strategy and creativity to craft experiences that resonate with fans and strengthen brand identity. Before she was at We The Hobby, Serena was an experienced sports anchor, host, and a reporter with passions for storytelling across TV, digital, and live platforms. She's covered some of the biggest events in sports: MLB opening day, the NBA Finals, the World Baseball Classic, and multiple Super Bowls, delivering live reporting, insider analysis, and original long-form features. A creative content strategist and results-driven leader, she is skilled in producing, writing, editing, and mentoring on-air talent in high-volume, fast-paced environments. She's always focused on delivering impactful, audience-first coverage. Serena.
Yes. Hi, Jen.
Thank you so much for joining me today. This is just such a wonderful, wonderful time. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Excited to have you here. We have so much to talk about.
Yes.
You have had one of the most eclectic career paths, I think, that I've ever seen. Okay, so I'm going to read this off for you, everyone. All right. Nike field reporter, Impractical Jokers, National Geographic, ESPN, the Rams, yes, the Rams, and now We The Hobby. Okay, so when you look back, does it feel chaotic, a little intentional, a little bit of both?
Yeah, what Venn diagram has just me in the middle of all those companies because nothing would normally be a connecting factor. Chaotic for sure. Intentional, yes. A little bit of both, yes. A little bit of I stayed true to what I knew, and that kind of led me down this journey that could take someone, on the dark side of the moon. Like, shout out to Artemis. But it makes no sense to have that sort of career path, but everything I did kind of led me to the next thing. Like, it was almost, if you played video games and you're like, in order to get through level 1, you've got to unlock or save, get the treasure, save a princess or a prince, because we're now in 2026. Whoever wants to be saved can be saved. But it was, every kind of level from my time with Nike kind of led me to being comfortable on camera very early on at 23, working with huge celebrities. I interviewed LeBron James, Serena Williams. I interviewed Serena Williams more times than I've interviewed anybody else, I think, in my career outside of Rams players, because I interviewed them every day. And to the point where she was like, "Hey, Serena, what's going on?" And I was 23 years old.
That's incredible.
And she was in a similar age, but the biggest celebrity, I think the time she was dating Drake. So celebrity athlete of all time. And I was very blessed to kind of unlock each chapter, each level to where now I'm sort of at a very high level, and it's been very fun, but needed kind of to go through all the levels.
And isn't it funny the way that the career transitions just unfold? You least expect it. You think, maybe I could do that. I think I could do that. Or, that sounds about right. I've done a little bit of that in the past, and then we'll figure it out. But did you started at Syracuse, though. You went to undergrad at Syracuse.
Went to the Newhouse School of Journalism.
Love it.
Funny, even there, I unlocked a level. Like, I'm from the Bronx, New York.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that Newhouse School of Journalism was the spot to be. Out like Mike Tirico, Bob Costas, Beth Mowins, like some of these like bigger names, graduate from Syracuse and then go on and become the influencers of sports. I had no idea. I was innocent. I was naive. My mom and dad both went to CUNY school, so they went to school. We understood education was important, but by no means we knew unlocking another level meant going to Syracuse University.
Wow.
And I didn't know what a sorority was. I didn't know that life at all. And then I got there and I was very overwhelmed because it was not like the Bronx at all. And
not at all.
Slowly started to understand, this is what everyone's doing outside of New York City, of the Bronx, that I am not aware of.
This is the real upstate New York.
Yeah. and it was very cold. But it taught me a ton because I had never had proper journalism classes. My colleagues at Syracuse, at Newhouse, some of the ones that are now on television regularly also, they went to their high school and was the head writer for their newspaper or started a podcast in high school. And I was like, I am so back. I have no idea. So I didn't even apply to Newhouse. I just applied to get into Syracuse. Went to the communication school, which I have a minor in, for the rhetoric school, which was amazing and kind of also taught me a lot. And then I finally learned the tangible, like, here's what you're going to do in journalism. And that really kind of set the foundation for me of what I expected to do with the rest of my career.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So you came out of Syracuse, graduated in 2008. 2008. Really? You had to graduate in 2008 of all years, right in the middle of a market crash.
Yeah. How
did that moment shape your mindset about work, opportunity, and resilience?
Nothing is ever promised. The year prior, all of my friends who graduated, they applied even like cold called or in a newspaper. We saw newspaper listings, not to age myself, but you could go in a newspaper and find jobs, or online and get the job automatically just because you went to X school. Nothing was guaranteed at that point. I thought and was told by professors, you do well, you get good grades, you graduate from Newhouse, you're going to be able to get a job in any sports space or a local TV market. We'll send the tape. This has been taught. And also there was proof that, students got jobs outside of going to Newhouse.
Yeah.
So I felt very good about it.
Great school.
It was like I lied to my family because they were like, yo, Senorita, what happened, girlfriend? Why are you waitering at Pershing Square on 42nd Street and speaking Spanglish? Like, what happened? I don't understand. I could not. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I was told I was going to get a job. I've applied to jobs. I got nothing. And so it really taught me, nothing is guaranteed. You could have everything set up. You could have all of your student loans paid off. You could do this and you lose a hand. You don't get a job.
Yeah.
Nothing is guaranteed. The market could crash. The pandemic can take place. I mean, my God, millennials have certainly been tested the most of the...
Respect your elders.
Respect. All these white hairs are with purpose. A lot of wisdom there. Yeah. Nothing's guaranteed.
Okay. So 2008, market crashes. You're fresh out of not law school, sorry. I went to law school at Syracuse, so it's a little bit just knee-jerk reaction here when we're talking about SU. But anyways, so what do you do? You moved to England.
Yeah, that seemed like the most logical course. Yeah, I couldn't get a job in New York. Yeah. I was working as a waiter. And
you realize that there are other places in the States you could have. Okay.
Yes, totally. But they didn't accept my resume.
Okay.
And yes, I was like, I was open to moving anywhere. At one point, my family's Colombian. I was like, maybe I'll move to Colombia. Wow. I had applied overseas. So I had applied to teach English in Seoul, Korea. And I got accepted to that program. And my mentor at the time, Harold Tamara, he was the one who challenged my thought and said, this seems like an easy route for you. You are not that person who just, okay, we're going to go there and everything's set up for you. You work with chaos. Like he knew this before the chaos had appeared to me as an adult. And it was like, why don't you just go abroad? Like, instead of going to Seoul, Korea, which is so far away, and you're going to be teaching English, go try something. Go overseas and pick another country. You studied abroad in London. Why don't you go back to London?
Yeah. And
I was going to go to Spain. I thought about going to Barcelona. I got mugged in Barcelona. My family's like, you're not going to Barcelona.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I was like, fine, what about London? And they were like, yeah, what are you going to do? You got a job out there? And I lied to them and I said, I sure do. I was like, oh dear. You know when you like put your foot in your mouth and you can't go back?
Right.
So yeah, that's why I went to London, because I made up a job and I had to follow through with my lie.
Okay. No job, no visa. How did you, was that long-lived?
I'll take the deep breath now.
And what was going through your mind?
Stupidity. I know that since surviving Syracuse, growing up in New York City, I could talk my way through most things. And so this was just another, again, level up that I decided to do another challenge. This story will tell you exactly who I am, Jen. So I didn't have a job. I told them that I had a job. Now I'm like, I'm going to figure this out and find a job there. So I Google searched London production creative, because that seemed in line with what I wanted to have as a job. And the first company that came up in my Google search was Addiction London. It was a creative marketing firm, and they had a cool website.
Mm-hmm.
And I even looked to see if I could contact the HR department for jobs, and they did not come up. But I was like, screw it. I got to give an answer pretty quickly. And was like, this is where I got a job. And they were like, that's incredible. And I was like, yes, it is. And so I'm going to be leaving by December 15th because a friend of mine was also going out to London.
Mm-hmm.
She had a visa. She had a plan. She went to Syracuse with me. And I had kind of convinced her. So I was like, I think I'm just going to move. And I'll figure it out. Like, I don't know, I'll travel. I'll get a job. If I can work off the books in New York City, I can work off the books in London.
Mm-hmm.
So I got there and did not have a job, but I lied to my family. They threw a huge going away party for me. So the pressure was on at that point. And I was like, I cannot
Bon voyage.
disappoint them. Left, no visa, no nothing. I was capable of like traveling on a traveler's visa.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for off-the-book jobs very quickly, like was in a hostel. I stayed in a hostel until I was able to find something.
Wow.
I shared a room, bunk beds with like German soldiers who were traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not find a job to save my life. And I was like trying to make connections and could not. And I've never said this publicly, like close friends know. But so I left December 15th. On December 25th, on Christmas Day, again, me trying to network and connect with friends in London. My mentor connected me with a photographer. She's like, come to our holiday party. And I still had no job. And I was like, sure, I'll come to the holiday party. And that holiday party, I had one glass of wine and I was raped at a holiday party on Christmas Day in London.
Gosh.
I've never said this publicly.
Oh my goodness.
But I say this because I had to effing stay there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the Morales family just said goodbye, was so proud of me to have a job. And I am lying now through my teeth, also running out of money, now trying to...
You felt all this pressure.
I had to find a job. And I also was in the emergency room. So I had to go to the doctor, like make sure I was okay. I had bruises. I was not well and didn't even know who did this because I was passed out. And I was like, I got to figure this out or go home right now. And I was like, I got to figure this out. So I left the hospital and I emailed the CEO of Addiction London, the company I made up. I sent him a message on Facebook because I couldn't find his email. I said, Jeremy, I'm Serena Morales, a young woman from New York City, a producer, reporter. Your company looks fantastic from what I see online. I'm traveling in London and I would love to meet with you and learn more about your company.
I love that.
And I sent it to the ether, and throughout that next month, I was able to find a job, live with some Australians above a pub that I worked at, and I found a bartending job, like, off the books. And he even said, do you have a visa? And I said, yes. And he goes, all right, fine, I don't need to check it. It's off the books anyway. And I was like, holy cow, I almost lost.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I was sort of just, like, living like, okay, we're survival mode, and we'll figure it out. And thankfully, the chef of the pub that I worked at made me food every day, so I was able to survive on eating. I had decent roommates. I'm still friends with them. And I was a bartender, and I made connections in London. And that was, like, the month after I'm raped. I am like, okay, I'm figuring this out.
Oh, my goodness.
And I also became, like, an alcoholic because I was drinking. I was working at a pub. So
right.
And that's how they tip in London. They give you a drink, and they're like, hey, thanks for the drink. Here's a drink on you. I was, like, ending up with, like, 2 bottles of wine every night.
Oh,
I mean, it was just crazy. Yeah. So then fast forward a month or 2 in, Jeremy from Addiction London messages me on Facebook, and he's like, hey, I would like to connect with you. I'm trying to open up an Addiction London in New York City. Do you have any connections?
Wow.
I go in and I meet with this guy. I was like, I got connects. You want connections? What do you need? And he was like, wow, this is exciting. What can I do for you? Whoops. Wow. See? That's how crazy things are. What can I do for you? And I was like, do you have a production assistant job? And he was like, yeah, we can make that happen. And I was like, this is insane, because that was the job I told my family that I had.
You created it for yourself. You manifested it.
And I got the job.
Wow.
I was employee of the month 3 times at Addiction London. I had the key. I, like, opened and closed the office every night.
That's an incredible story.
And then my sister came to visit, and we both got kicked out of the country.
Yeah.
Because she told them I was working.
Yeah.
I was not legally working. And that was the end of my little stint.
Oh my God. I don't even know where to go from here. I mean, this is just, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Connect the dots for me, though, because you need to connect the dots from there to then after you come back to the States.
Yes.
And then you go Nike after
I go
that?
Nike.
Okay.
Yes. And again, I give you, like, all the trauma, because that's where I was like, I have to do this. I don't have a choice. I come back from London. My family's like, you lied to me. You got your sister kicked out. We almost had, like, an international law problem going on here.
Goodness.
And you're
By the way, this episode is not about international law, but
it's not. But we could go.
Stay
there.
tuned for part 2.
Part 2. I told you I was going to come back. We'll have wine then. But yeah, I got back. My family, like, my dad didn't even pick me up from the airport. It was my godparents that picked me up from the airport, and I hadn't seen them in a year.
Yeah.
So I come back and I go to my mentor, Harold, and I'm like, I need help. I don't know what to do. I got my job back waitering at Pershing Square on 42nd Street. It's still there. It's one of the busiest restaurants in New York City. And I'm there and I'm like, this is such a failure to me. My family hates me. I hate myself. I haven't even dealt with the trauma that I dealt with in London. None of that's being dealt with. Fast forward now, my mentor's like, hey, I found this job online. It's to apply for a Nike field reporter. You have to submit a video and say why you'd be the best person for the job. I was like, there's no way I'm getting that. Those are so stupid, because it's all going to be the same. Hi, I'm Kathy Johnson, and I should be the best field reporter because of blah. I'm good at baseball. I'm good at this. And he was like, all right, so then change it up. And I was like, all right, I will. And I was like, hi, Nike, I'm Serena Morales, and the reason you should hire me is not because I am a great baseball player, not because I went to Syracuse Newhouse and I'm a good journalist, not because of this or that, or I was an all-star. It is because if you don't hire me, I'm going to be selling Reeboks at Foot Locker. Which was true. I was like, I'm pretty desperate for a job. So it's either you or them. And they were so impressed by my video. And if you find it online, I bleep out Reeboks because they were like, you can't say any other brands. But it was actually funnier because then it's like, I'm going to be selling bleep at bleep.
Yeah.
And I interviewed for the job. There were 3 finalists that made it. And I was the last interview. And they were like, why should we hire you? Like, really, why should we hire you? We interviewed 2 other women. strong candidates. And I was like, I just got kicked out of a country. I don't have, like, I either go back to Pershing Square and I look at myself in the mirror and figure it out, but like, I have to make something of myself. I cannot be a failure. I went to Syracuse, my student loans, like, I will make anything work, and I want the challenge. And before I think they even closed the door, like, I got a phone call, like, you got the job. And then I think 2 days later, I was interviewing Serena Williams on a rooftop in Queens. And that was really like, okay, I think we're okay. And then things, went up and down 1,000 times.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about twists and turns.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I just scared
I just need a moment to process all of this right now. No, you didn't scare me at all. I think it's really interesting. Totally not on that level whatsoever. But it is really funny how certain things point you in the right direction, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember going through law school. I sort of always knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, but I never really, I couldn't really pinpoint what I wanted to do, like what type of law I wanted to practice. I had in my mind, I think, what I knew I wanted to do. And then between undergrad and law school, I did Teach for America. So taught inner city in Jacksonville, 40 kids. I was not an education major. I was communications. I knew nothing about that whatsoever. They were all at a pre-K reading level or lower, third grade. I had some 15-year-olds in my class. Oh. I had kids that didn't have shoes, kids that didn't have shirts, the whole gamut. And I'll never forget the first day I had a kid that, consistently had seizures, but his family only had enough money to provide medicine for one person in the family, even though everybody had epilepsy in their family. The family only had enough money to medicate one person per day. So they would rotate who got the medication that day, and then the other people would have seizures. And family doesn't have a phone, nothing like that. So I actually went to the hospital with this student multiple times, unfortunately. The number that they gave me was a phone number to Domino's. So I couldn't even contact the parents oftentimes to let them know what was going on. But they just said, they brought him first day. They said, if he starts rolling his eyes back, that's probably a sign he's going to seize. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Under the desk, crying the first day. This was not what I signed up for. I thought I was going to go in here and I was going to help close the achievement gap and be like the girl that comes in and saves the world. Not at all. So I realized in that moment, okay, I can make very little impact, unfortunately, as a teacher in that system. And that motivated me to start representing schools and help the system from that end. So my interest in law school, my focus in law school was on education. I did a dual degree program. So I did my JD and I got my master's in ed at the same time. So I now can represent a lot of schools and nonprofits. But anyways, it's just really wild because here I am thinking in my mind going into law school, I don't know, maybe family law, maybe criminal law, I don't know, we'll figure it out type thing.
Wow. And then you knew right
And it
away.
pointed me in that direction. Yeah. Okay. Diverting. Tell me about that first interview with Serena.
She's everything you expect her to be.
Okay.
And what was exciting for me, there are moments in life, right, where you kind of need a win, whether you're hiding under your desk and crying, and then there's like a glimpse of hope or something that's like, this is what I'm going to do. And Serena really gave me that moment for me in my career.
Yeah.
I think of like how the system operates, and then I go, that doesn't work, or that's boring, or we've done that already. So what can I do to change how we do things or make a change that's more impactful for the long term? And Serena Williams, I expected to interview her that day, and I was like, how do I get her out of her I'm going to do my professional interview voice, and I'm going to speak like this, and I'm going to...
What are you wearing? What's so exciting?
Everyone asks the same questions. Why are you so competitive? How are you able to... And...
What's it like playing with your sister?
Exactly. And everyone asked those questions.
Yeah.
And there were certain questions I had to ask from the Nike perspective, but they gave me sort of like, go ahead and ask a few questions. So I was like, well, what would I ask Serena Williams? And I was just like, she's always wearing jewelry. This is iconic of her, blinged out jewelry when she would compete.
Right.
And I was like, how the hell can you wear this jewelry while playing sports? Because my mama had to take all the hoops off before I went on the court or, to play baseball or anything. Like I wasn't allowed to have a chain on this small. And so I was like, Serena, every gym teacher of mine has told me I am not allowed to do this. But also, like, I fear for your eyes. They're going to get whacked in the head by some jewelry thing you're wearing. How and why do you do this? And I saw Serena lose the PR moment. I saw her become Serena Williams, the person.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the effing coolest thing I have ever experienced as a human. When you get that person on camera outside of this, and you're like, oh, like,
finally, everyone can just breathe.
You go home
relax.
as a woman and you take your bra off and you feel like, okay, I feel so much better now. I got her at 23 years old and she gave the best answer, which was, oh my God, I have to line up my jewelry on my practice court that I have and test all of them out because some have hurt me or whacked me in the eye. And I put those to the side and I'm like, they're not making it. They're not making the US Open. They're not making the French Open. I have to test things out.
Yeah.
What did that tell you? This woman's a crazy perfectionist. She cares a whole lot about her swag and what she...
But it's a part of her. That's like your signature.
Her everything.
Yeah.
Yes. No one's ever asked her that. But it doesn't mean
you have to give up your signature just because you want to make it. Yeah.
No one ever asked her that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this forever.
So with each transition, okay,
yes,
what skills have you carried through, even when the industries were completely different? What skills have you really just carried through from job to job to job?
Skills. I have to figure it out. I'm the biggest problem solver. I really feel like there is no. There's okay, yes. Let me try, which I learned way back when I used to take improv classes as a kid growing up because it's always yes and. A no creates a wall, a barrier where you can't. So in any situation I've ever been in, I'm like, there has to be another exit. Like even in our room right now, there's one door, but Jen, I see like a wall and I'd be like, or we'll just pull down the ceiling and figure out a way out. Like there's gotta be a way. So that has been the biggest skill set thing that I'm like, I have to figure it out, researching, asking questions so that I don't get the no's, or really like I have to learn a new skill set. I will do that and become sort of, because every job I had, right? Nike field reporter, I worked for True TV on this show Impractical Jokers, National Geographic, ESPN. I kind of had to, certain skill sets, communication, staying curious, fact checking, certain things that kind of stayed with me from day one. But then there's like, you have to figure it out because I'm so scared to go back to the Bronx and be a failure to my family. Like I still have that fear. I cannot fail my family that worked way too hard to support me.
Oh, that's really interesting. I feel like we all sort of have this, and maybe it's something that women, I think, just struggle with in general, is just that fear of letting other people down, the fear of disappointment.
Yeah.
And it really, and I'm sure men have it too, not to say that it's just women, but, it really resonates with a lot of women. I think whether it doesn't really matter the industry, but any industry. And it's really, really important. You got to change that channel. You have to just keep pushing through. It's that resilience. It's that ability to find the hole in the ceiling to crawl through, or the other little door open, or the window, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, but the ability to find your way out, to make it work. Yeah. I love that. At National Geographic, you grew their numbers from 360,000 to 6 million. What did that experience teach you about storytelling and audience connection?
That was fun because I was not an expert in animals and at all. My sister was way more, she would have been way more applicable for that job.
Yeah.
Like I should not have had this job. But it was, again, like, how do I look at a plant? How do I look at an animal and go, what have we not talked about with a penguin? Let me take an individual animal. Let me think about them in clusters. Have we ever put a penguin with a flamingo? Have they ever talked? What was their conversation like? So I really tried to think about things from a different perspective. And it was my biggest success. Same thing of me trying to get Serena Williams out of this normal PR'd person.
Thinking outside the box, making yourself stick out in a way that nobody else has done yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought about what can we do with animals that we can't do in any other space? And I one of the things that we did was we put animal butts up. Think about this, Jen. How many times, we would be on OnlyFans, right? If you put a butt up of someone else, in the regular universe, right? A person that is in a pro,
yeah.
Unless you're in these certain, group chats or internet spaces, right? But if you put an animal butt up, oh, it's so cute. Oh, it's weird. Oh, if you put an orangutan or a penguin or a horse, horse's tail is gorgeous. Women try and replicate a horse's ass in their hair regularly. I'm always how do I get that ponytail a little cleaner? So we can put animal butts up. So I was let's run with that. So we put up Tush Tuesday on Tuesdays, and I promoted the shows at night by putting up animal butts because it was allowed and it was funny, and people kind of got the higher level thought process that I had. And that it was things like that I just started. I used to tweet from the Nat Geo Wild Twitter account. Hey, I would watch football. I was a sports fan. Hey, the Chicago Bears aren't playing well right now, but we have real bears playing right now on Nat Geo Wild.
Oh,
and people are oh my God, Nat Geo, what? Who is running this account?
It's kind of like the national parks accounts. Have you seen those lately? It's kind of like that. Even it just perks people's curiosity. You see something that you least expect out of them, and then it just grabs everyone's. Yeah, it grabs the attention
of humor, right? The basis of anything is I told someone the other day, and this is not actually true. This is for the joke, but I hate nuns. You would never say a nun is not a hated person. Yeah. But what is a word hate go with this thing? Why do someone's I hate flowers. I hate beautiful, nice smelling flowers. You're what is happening right now?
It grabs your attention.
But if you do what can I do the opposite of? It really opens your mind up and really creates humor, creates perspective. It's all perspective, Jen. If we don't, you had no idea what was going on in Jackson, Mississippi, and then you got that perspective as a teacher, and you do things differently in your career because of it.
Yep.
We all lack that perspective, right? The majority of people lack that perspective. Now, the way that I think, traveling to 20 countries, doing all these things, my perspective, it's almost leading to I seriously, my head could explode some days for how much I think about what am I missing? What am I not thinking about? What perspective? Because I check it all the time because I'm sure there's something else.
Yeah. It's interesting when I talk with clients too, and a lot of times, and this is the perspective, I guess, that is really refreshing to hear because I work in corporate law. And when I talk with clients, a lot of what I hear is this passion, this creativity that is so refreshing. And what I don't hear is a lot of the, I wonder what legal issues should come up. So that's why I always say, when you're brainstorming, when you're talking about things like this, do it with an attorney present, and then that person can help you issue spot, think of other ideas you may not have thought of before, or be yep, we can make that happen, but here's how we get there, and think about it before you act, and then we're at least being proactive and not having to clean up the mess afterwards. But
always have an attorney.
That's ideal. That's ideal. That's would love to have that work. So okay, so when ESPN reached out to you, you worked your way up, right? ESPN reached out to you, news anchor.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going from Pershing, right? That's the name of it?
Pershing Square, yeah.
Pershing Square.
Restaurant.
Okay. And now you're a news anchor with ESPN.
Yes.
Okay. So what did that teach you about saying yes before you feel ready? I mean,
oh, yeah.
Did you feel ready?
imposter syndrome to the max.
Yep. And for imposter syndrome, you can listen to our last episode that we talked about. We actually did imposter syndrome in our last one. But
and that literally, I'm adding to that. It is. Yeah. I could not do it. I couldn't do it. I found out on live national television that I was dyslexic. I had no idea I was dyslexic prior to being on national television. I thought I was stupid. And I was like, wait a minute, these words moving on a teleprompter. I was reading a teleprompter and I was like, this is going to, like, I've lost, I think the word, the name Victor Wembanyama came up, or at the time it was Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I was like, I know what I wrote, but I cannot read any of those letters put together. Like J's and P's, they look the same. M's and N's. Like, I write in caps all day. That is my, like, if I am yelling at you, I'm not. It's just me writing in caps. But I can't, it really is more difficult for me to read without reading in caps.
No,
I have glasses to also help me. But I learned on national television how to, that I realized that I was dyslexic, and I figured out very quickly I could not lose this opportunity. So I told nobody. And then I went and I started writing my scripts in a way that only I would read them. And I was like, can I just like take over? But I remembered enough because I wrote it. But I then would also like put extra spaces, or I would tell the producer, do not write someone's full name if I didn't write it. Like, don't write Giannis Antetokounmpo's name. It's okay. Just write Giannis. I will fill in the blank because I have the muscle memory of his name. But I ended up telling Jason Sterrett, who was my my research support for the show in the morning, and I was like, "Yo, if you rewrite this stat this way, is it still factually correct? Because this wording is screwing me up, and I don't want to mess it up on live television."
Yeah.
But maybe like the first 6 months of me anchoring SportsCenter, I was screwing up royally. And there were points where I'm sure that my co-anchors were like, what is this child? I was 29 at the time. I was very young and had very little national TV experience. What is she
Let
doing
alone
here?
live TV.
Live television.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the mornings.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But we figured it out. And I just started to look at like, well, what else is needed? Kevin Agandi had been in news for, the majority of his life. He did not work at True TV or National Geographic. So he had an expertise that I was not going to even try and compete with him. Yeah. That's like me going up to like Michael Jordan and going, I bet I could beat you in a free throw contest. Like, it was so stupid. Right. So why am I going to compete with him? And then I looked at all of the other anchors, and I was with 3 other, if not 4. I was like the 5th wheel to this. And I looked at all of them and I was like, what are they good at? Well, I'm not competing with them. But hey, you need this, right? We need this other competition here that I will compete with myself. And that was really how I was able to carve my lane even on SportsCenter.
Wow. Were most of the other anchors men?
Yes. It was just me and Jamie Sire.
Okay.
And yeah, the majority, thankfully, like Hannah Storm and Linda Cohn, they were like that first wave of like, the first time I had ever saw a woman talking on television about sports. And then the next wave was like this Lindsay Zarniak era. There were a few others. Sage Steele, Jamie Sire was kind of in that. And I was like just closely behind them. Yeah. So it was like I had a few cushions. I had a little layer to soften the hits when they came. Yeah. But I still received the worst tweets like, go back to the kitchen where you belong. I was like, my man, you don't want me in a kitchen because I'm going to stand there and do nothing. Yeah. I'm going to microwave popcorn.
Well, so I've heard you mention this a couple of times, right? So you've got a passion for sports.
Very much.
Yes, to say the least. All right. But with that comes working in a lot of male-dominated industries and sports, media, and now you're in the card space with We the Hobby. What has that been like? And have you learned from to own your expertise?
Yeah. So I feel like at every stage of my life, men have taught me something else. Early on, I played baseball on an all-men's baseball team in the Bronx. And at an early age, I was very comfortable being around men because that was what I was around as a child. as I started to get older, like I played till I was 17 years old, I was like, how do I stay? How do I stay here? And one of the ways that I stayed was to shut up, don't say a thing.
Interesting.
And I was taught that by men. Don't say anything. Keep your head down. Don't attract attention to you because you already attract attention as the only female playing in this baseball league or with the baseball team. So be grateful for what you're given and keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And it kind of screwed me for a while because I was like, but I think that's what I'm supposed to do. That's how I was able to play baseball. But at the end of the day, I was still harassed, mistreated. But I was like, thank you so much for treating me so badly.
Thank you for letting me play on this team.
I can't believe I couldn't do it without you. Like, no.
Right.
Could have started my own league, could have found all the other opportunities, but I didn't know. So for a while, I stayed quiet. And as you continue to deal with another barrier, another wall, I realized I was like, the more I stay quiet, the more I'm not getting out of these rooms. I'm going to stay stuck. So yeah, now I am uncomfortably loud for people. I have no problem being wrong because I also realize being wrong is good. It's the best thing anyone can do is be uncomfortable and not stay quiet, but say, holy cow, I'm uncomfortable. So then when you're working out, when you're doing yoga, right, and you make that noise, that's growth. And then you either find people to support you, right? You're pushing, you're bench pressing. Hey, someone, I need your help, right? Like, but you're growing, you're able to lift. You either have a village and they support you, you find your people, or you push through and you make noise and realize you grew on your own. But yeah, so every stage of my life and my career, I think my relationship with men has changed so much so right now. Like I'm a mother of a son, of a boy, and I am being once again challenged to make sure that he is being taught how to do certain things to make sure that he ends up being a good example and leader in the world and treats people equally. But yeah, at every stage, it has been a different sort of learning process for me. But now I am thankful where also most of the men that I work with know, don't test her sports knowledge. This is a waste of time for both of us. Like I feel very comfortable. I've been in locker rooms, at stadiums, at Super Bowls, at many events where I have relationships with people that I've learned way more than most have. And I'm very thankful for it. But yeah, no one's really going to test me anymore, at least at We the Hobby.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But with all that information, that sports information, so you know probably more sports information than most men in the card world.
Just quote that right now, girl. Clip it.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah. And it's fun.
But they'll tell you that. I've met enough people over at We the Hobby to know that is absolutely 100% fact.
Yeah. There's not a lot of places that I have been in my life because you go on, like, even on the Rams, well, Sean McVay knows more football than you, Serena. I'm like, that's a fact, and he should. But there's not a lot of places that I've really been outside of, like, being in a group of friends. But a lot of my friends have been sports reporters.
Yeah.
Or athletes. So, yeah, there hasn't been many spaces where I actually know the most about a topic. And alas, like, it's been pretty exciting to be in a position where I am trusted as the source, as a resource for, like, Serena's going to tell you about sports or questions to ask athletes about the things that they do.
Go check with Serena on that. Yeah. So, but it wasn't always like that because when you were at the Rams, your boss had to tell you about football.
I didn't know anything. I covered Deflategate on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
I did not know X's and O's. I didn't understand the importance of an O-line the way that I do now. I did not understand a 13 personnel, an 11 personnel. Like, I didn't understand any of this. So
you definitely knew your limits at that point.
Yeah. But I was honest with myself at that point because I kind of thought of this next step in my career with the Rams after leaving ESPN. Okay, it's like I'm going back to college and I'm going to learn a new degree. I'm going to learn a new language. And that was football, X's and O's. I was like, I'm going to learn this. If I'm going to be here, I'm going to learn this. And so I learned it by sitting with some of the scouts on the Rams. And after work, I would sit there and watch film with the scouts. And it was like the coolest experience because, I left now watching football in a way different way. I have relationships in football where I feel way more respected because of the questions I ask. But again, it took a second for me to go, I'm not going to faking it till you make it gets you here. Sometimes you kind of have to because we're put in situations like on a live broadcast. My God, we got to get through that teleprompter whether I like it or not. But that gets you here. At the end of the day, I cannot fake the next week. No, I learned how to memorize my scripts. I had to do it. And it was the same thing. I had to be like, if I'm going to do this job as a reporter and I have to ask better questions, I better learn the crap out of this so they respect me.
Right.
And I had to be honest with myself. So I was very like, I don't know football. I don't know this the way that maybe you expect someone to, but I am going to learn it. Please be grace, give me grace, and I will learn this. And that was like the best 4 years. It was like the most fun I ever had in my career, honestly. Like, learned so much.
It's funny. I always wondered how sports anchors always knew everything about the sport. And, some of them obviously played professionally and then go on to be sports anchors, but not everybody. No. That's not everyone's story. So it's interesting. A lot of research.
Jason Starrett behind closed doors. They get you when you're at least at ESPN, you will get booklets and packets of literally every game, every stat, every big headline. It is given to you in an email where you can go through and highlight things like you talk to people who are at those games, so you get information that way.
Yeah.
Doris Burke, one of the best in sports general, but like in the NBA, I see her at games. I got to watch her go up to each of the team reporters and the beat writers and go, hey, so XSS, what happened with LeBron here? What about this? And they also feel so excited because they're like, Doris Burke is asking me a question. Oh my God, she's going to use it in the broadcast. So it's this respect versus respect, kind of like game respects game. And I was just like, I can do this. Like, they're going to start to respect the information that I have working at the Rams. But all sports reporters have a 0, and then it's just how good they are, how much information you can pick up along the way.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not, it comes in waves, right? So you pick up every transition, you learn something new. Like every job, you learn something new. You got a new tool for your toolbox, so to speak. And then it unlocks that new level, just like you were saying, and you pick up a little bit more along the way. But I think what I'm hearing a lot of is, at first I thought, okay, she feels like a failure. But what I'm hearing a lot about is, you might have that in the back of your mind, but you know that you know when to ask questions. You know how to ask questions. You know that it's okay to ask questions, and allowing yourself to do that has only helped you grow and helped you take you to that next level. So I think that's really important to recognize too. Like on the flip side, yes, you might feel like you're a failure, but at the same time, you learned how to unlock those next levels because you were intentional about it and you put in the work.
Yeah. But like, think of all the times we have failed and people like crap on us for it.
Yeah.
And it's really about like, well, I learned something from it. Like, I wish I had a me back then to go, man, you lost the race.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you win it next time? Like, how do I do this? And some people don't even have that luxury. They fail once and that's the end of it. Ray Allen, and again, I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to interview Ray Allen, one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time, one of the greatest to play in the NBA. He said in a conversation that I watched live, he said, some of us don't have the luxury to make mistakes. If you're in the army, if you are fighting in war, if you're a doctor, there are certain people that don't have the luxury to make a mistake. You make a mistake, life ends. We have the luxury to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's a freaking blessing.
Yeah.
And I have made 1,000 infinite amount of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm alive. And it's been great. But like when it really opened up that perspective for me even recently, hearing him say that, because we are often patronized, belittled for making mistakes, which is a failure on society. Because there's no one perfect.
Right.
So you have to make the mistake to be better. And yet, for some reason, society craps on those that make mistakes. We should almost cheer for them more.
Right. And then comes an imposter syndrome, and then it's just like this whirlwind of, the perfect storm thing, right? Okay. So what drew you to We the Hobby then? I mean, sports? Is that it? What makes you feel like this was, the right next step after you're in this high profile industry? Why We the Hobby? First of all, could you explain We the Hobby a little bit for some of our listeners who might not know what it is?
We the Hobby is the top prestigious sports breaking and entertainment company that exists. We are a proud partner of Fanatics. We stream live on Fanatics Live, Whatnot, eBay Live, Walmart Live. And we break cards online. We sell sports cards in our shop. We also have a retail shop. We are a live entertainment streaming company. We have podcasts. We are a content company, sports card content company. I have a podcast with We the Hobby. And so, it has grown so much since I joined. And the reason I joined was because I saw the opportunity and the growth prior to it even happening. Mm-hmm. And the CEO, Zach Stanley, is a father, is a very smart person that when I met with him and I came to him and I said, look, I'm a single mom. I want to be in sports. I don't understand this space at all. Mm-hmm. But my God, I feel like I've missed the train and I'm trying to get my ticket. Like, this is an industry that I should have known about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I would love to grow this company with you. And since then, he was like, we'll figure it out. Like, when my son is sick, we figure it out. Mm-hmm. When things happen, we figure it out. And it's been really exciting to see the momentum, the way that we interview people for our streams now mm-hmm. is at a higher level. The way that we operate and the way that we think about things before we make decisions is at a higher level. We are growing exponentially. Mm-hmm. It is insane the amount of work that we have done, but it's also really exciting. And it's a company that if you don't know about now, you will in the next year or two. Like, my mm-hmm. whole goal is for us to be a household name across America.
I love that. I mean, it certainly is in my house. I can tell you that. I have a 5 and 8-year-old boy, and they're huge fans. So how did you navigate entering this industry with really not a lot of women that are in the hobby?
At that point, at least, I was comfortable being the only woman in the room. Yeah. I got to that point. I didn't even notice it. In fact, on one of my birthdays, my friend Leanne was like, you're the only woman that works here? And I was like, no, there's other women. I mean, there's a few. Like, I shout out Abby and Sam Peebles and Scylla. But yeah, there was a moment where I was like, yeah, I guess I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't necessarily the uncomfortable part. I honestly would say that they felt more uncomfortable with me than I felt uncomfortable with them, because they were like, holy cow, who's this woman coming here suggesting things, trying to make change? She thinks she knows more sports than I do. But I came in at least in a space where people had respected what I had done in the past. Mm-hmm. So I had the confidence or the ability to go, this is what I know. You cannot question me here, although I'm always open to learning new things, even in sports. But teach me this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to learn this, and I'm going to be humble and be open-minded mm-hmm. because I don't know anything, and teach me it. And I'm still learning, and I have a lot to learn. But I think that's the best way you can always enter any room that you're uncomfortable with is, I don't know anything. Yep. I'm here. I want to try this. I want to learn. And I did that with the Rams.
Right. I was just going to say, you did that with football, and now you're doing it with the hobby. And that's great.
It is. It's worked so far. So yeah. I'm going to keep doing it.
I love it. I love it. Again, knowing when to ask, when to speak up, but not being afraid. And it's probably gotten you a lot further than if you just sat quiet and were like, I'll figure it out, but I'm not going to really say anything. I won't let anyone know.
I'm scared.
I'm really scared. I still am a little bit. Oh, so your career, I mean, it's the definition of nonlinear, I have to say. Nonlinear, for sure. But what would you say to someone who feels lost because their path doesn't look, quote, traditional, you know?
Yeah.
oh, I had this image in my mind of what I wanted to be when I grow up. And this probably was the last thing in your mind of how your path would look. Maybe the end result.
Yeah. I would say nonlinear means you're living life.
Yeah.
So if you think of a heartbeat, it goes like this on a medical projector. I don't know what they're called. What are those medical screens?
Echo.
The
Yeah.
echoes.
Mhm.
This is nonlinear, ups and downs, ups and downs. That's a healthy heart.
Yeah.
When you flatline and your career is boring and doing this, you're not alive.
You're not taking risks. Yep.
This, right?
Can't grow if you don't take any risks.
Ocean tide is the healthiest water. It is constantly crashing into something, filtering itself out, and entering a calm wave in the end, right? Like a still puddle of water is the most toxic and dangerous. There is no change. So mold and bacteria grows because it is still and it is sitting there. So for anyone that is like, man, I just haven't found my career path and it's not moving. Yeah, you need to like make a change, because if you're not either changing a title or growing within your career, or you can't get the right job and you're kind of doing this, that's okay, because it means your heartbeat is, you are alive.
Right.
You are living.
Right.
Like, who wants to live all the novels we've ever read in the world about exciting people who have created things? It's because they went through a bunch of crap and they became uncomfortable and learned to push through. So yeah, anyone who's worried about, you know, not having a linear, like, I don't want the linear. I don't think anyone should. They should always be up and down, because that way you get higher, right? Like those heartbeats.
And the way to grow up, right, is with your village. And your village is going to be comprised of so many different people. It's going to be, you know, depending on the chapter. But knowing when to ask for help on things that you think you might know, but you don't quite fully know, knowing when to ask for help is just critical.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely. Okay, so looking back, do you feel like each twist and turn was leading you exactly where you were supposed to go?
Yeah, I don't even know where I'm going like tomorrow. Yes. Like, I also wanted to challenge myself in my career, because I didn't want to always. So what happens specifically for sports reporters, what happens at the end of their contract, or what happens at the end where they're not getting hired because they're older, ageism takes place, sexism takes place, whatever takes place. You only had this one job where it was on camera. Yeah. And I was worried because I saw the changes happening to colleagues of mine where they had a hard time finding that next job, because our careers are defined by being on camera. And so it was exciting for me, while I didn't want to necessarily like leave being a reporter on air, because I love all those magical moments that I can capture doing my job. But my goodness, like, I also was like, what am I doing with the rest of my life? Do I need to feel fulfilled by being on a screen talking to someone and getting paid for it? No. So yeah, it's kind of led me to this point where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect job, where they still want me on camera reporting, but I also get to do marketing decks and building things out off camera, being a producer off camera, where it's kind of set me up for two different career paths long term. And it's been really exciting, because We the Hobby also trusted me to do that, where I don't think a lot of companies trust reporters, which I find to be some of the best people that can do those jobs, because they're asking questions and they're being critical and they're probably more careful. Yeah. But we are not often looked at for jobs outside of this. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. What's the biggest misconception that you think people have about career transitions in general? Just that they have to do one path? That, and that it's horrible to be laid off. I think everyone gets laid off at some point in their life. And I've been laid off. Bally Sports laid off everyone because they filed for bankruptcy. ESPN didn't pick up my contract. They had laid off a bunch of people in that time frame. It's not about a failure. It's just like, okay, well, what's your shift? But people, not to sound cliche, but like when one door closes, another opens. Totally, but it does. Yep. It does, and you have to open it. Right. Like, again, you're gonna just sit there in your puddle with bacteria in it. Like, you need the waves. The waves. Figure it out. So yeah, I think a big misconception is I cannot be laid off I cannot fail. I cannot, like, even if people get fired, maybe you needed a smack in the head wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you needed that, and you became a better person because of it. You became a better employee. So, yeah, I think those things are good. It sucks, my God, to, like, be laid off. What a scary, uncomfortable situation. Mm-hmm. But then you're kind of forced to act, to take action.
Now, what's next for you?
Oh, well, in the short interim, I'm excited that, like, I'm here with We the Hobby. They take care of me. I'm part of a story in sports. To be quite honest with you, it gives me goosebumps to think that in a company that started 4 or 5 years ago in an extra spare room in Zach Stanley's house, we have over 200 employees. We're growing into bigger spaces, literally and figuratively speaking. And I get to be a part of this story of cards in sports and the impact it's made. The same way, if you told the story of fantasy sports, who are the playmakers that are involved in that story, or gambling, and who are the playmakers involved in that story? I'm like smack in the middle.
You're front and center.
And it is so exciting. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's been... I'm here fully right now, excited to see what comes of, licensing rights, how cards evolve, how we as collectors and as sports reporters kind of merge into one. And which I have said, I want We the Hobby to be a household name all over. And then, like, maybe the next goal will be a household name globally, but we'll start baby steps. But what's next for me is continuing to figure out how to be a career woman as a single mom, being a senior director of brand relations at We the Hobby, and kind of balancing it all out, and also self-checking me, right? Yep. And making sure that I'm doing the right thing for myself.
Doing that inventory. Yeah. So important. Yeah. I love that. If you could go back and talk to the version of yourself that was in England, what would you tell her?
I am so proud of you. You're brave as hell, girl. What were you thinking? Have another glass of wine. What would I tell the woman? It's funny because, like, I'd probably just give her a hug because she probably really needed that. Yeah. And go, you're going to be okay. You're going to figure this out. But I was quiet. I didn't say anything. I didn't, like, had I told my family what happened, would things have been different? They would have forced me back to America. So I think I made all the right decisions for Serena Morales. Yeah. I did that. But I think she needed just a little bit of, like, you're going to be okay, because more therapy was really needed. That was really what I needed at the end of the day. But now Mama has all the therapy, so it's worked out. But yeah, I think, like, good on you to figure it out somehow and find friends and be, I didn't lose my spark even then. Like, when I thought someone, like, had dimmed my light, I almost, like, it
just kept getting brighter from what it sounds like.
It was gasoline, like, on fire. Like, I was like, I got to figure this out now. And I'm going to even be more of myself, because when I am myself, doors open. So, what if giving Serena a hug?
Oh, I think we all could use that from time to time.
Seriously, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Thanks,
I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to She Talks Law on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Like and follow She Talks Law on Instagram and Facebook. And email your comments or your topic suggestions to me at jaronson, that's JARONSON, @hodgsonruss.com. We'll continue exploring the skills and the mindset shifts that help women in law and business thrive. And finally, the views expressed on this podcast do not reflect the views of Hodgson Russ and should not be construed as legal advice. This podcast is not intended to create a lawyer-client relationship, and listeners should not act upon anything expressed by presenters without seeking professional counsel. This podcast may constitute attorney advertising under various state ethics rules, and we know prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. I'm Jen Aronson, and this has been She Talks Law. That's a wrap.